Hey Herman, what's up, man?
Hey, Fran, what's happening? Thanks
You,
for having me on your show. All
yeah,
right.
dude, I'm honored. I'm honored. So we go back a long time. What year?
7.
2007, 2007.
2007 at least. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That was on I think the No Fear music tour with Killswitch Engage, Chimera, and you guys. And looking back at it now, it seems like you guys should have headlined that tour. Um, I mean, you guys were on fire because of the whole Guitar Hero with the Fire and the Flames. What was that moment like when that song exploded because of that game?
Uh, looking back now at it, we probably thought we were pretty cool back then because we were young, we're on fire. We have this album, it's turning out to be a hit somehow. It's really picking up. And this is before Guitar Hero even came out, right? We're talking
Mm,
about like probably February, January 2007, and Guitar Hero came out in around October. This is way before. But now I look back, you know what? We knew nothing as kids. We
right.
just like we thought we knew some stuff, but we didn't know anything. And we just, to be honest, we're happy that we got to do that tour, meet you, and lots of cool people, have fun on that tour. I think our attitude back then is we didn't care. We just here to play music and have a great time because we never thought we will actually have a career in music for this long. We were only doing it for the love and joy of metal and nothing in mind that we're gonna follow some rules so we can have a long lasting career and do everything right. We did whatever.
Right. Yeah, and you did do whatever. We had so much fun on that tour. Um, I also remember you and Sam had come to a friend of mine's house that had a recording studios for a Guitar World piece. They put, I guess, a DVD in the magazine, and they wanted you to do a playthrough of Through the Fire and Flames, and you had to try to learn how to play it slow. Remember that?
Oh, that's right. I completely forgot about that. I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
if those videos
They
ever came out or not. I'm sure it did because
Yeah, it
back
did.
then
Yeah.
they just want to let the videos out. You
Mhm.
played it well or not, it doesn't matter, right? But I
Right.
remember we trying to play that song slow. It's like, well, I haven't played this slow.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do here? We'll
Yeah,
try.
I remember it was challenging for sure. Yeah, we got a good laugh out of it. Well, let's just get down to it then. When you guys got approached for Guitar Hero, did Herman Li become a multimillionaire overnight?
Well, funny you talk about that right now. Back then, I played the first two Guitar Hero games. So
Mm,
when they came to us and said, "Hey, we want to get DragonForce on there," I said, "This is great," because I knew all about the game before it blew up, and it was we weren't expecting anything for it. And the way the I remember right now from my brain is everyone get paid the same to be on the game. That's at least what they told me for licensing fee of having the song on the game. So the fee is pretty much flat where it is, and once you take out the manager and business manager and all these accountants and whatever, you
right.
know, I don't know how much there is left to it. But what did happen is, the game, that song particularly on that game really blew up. It was on is it Ellen DeGeneres show? They played that. It was on so many competition. It's just the record sales of that album in Human Rampage were just going insane. And we have a platinum record from Through the Fire and Flames, and a from that song and the gold album. So it was a great time. And now I think it have carried on to sustain us, because we basically became a household name.
Right. It was almost like Ghostbusters for Ray Parker Jr.
Yeah,
Through the
this
Fire and
is
the Flames is your Ghostbusters.
that's right. It's a smaller version, of course. It's like, I
Yeah.
remember going to Nuno Bettencourt's house when I did when he was on my show, and I look at that platinum record of More Than Words, right? What a
Mm,
huge song they had with Extreme. I thought, wait a minute, I got one of this, but he's got like 20 of these.
right.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
different level. I thought I can't even imagine what they had to go through. We have just a little minor underground hit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember going, I did some work with Jason Newsted from Metallica on his solo record. and I go to his studio, the Chop House in Northern California, and you walk in there and you see the Black Album world platinum plaque, right, from all the different regions in the world. It would take up this entire back wall. It was humongous, so I
Yeah.
can't imagine having that kind of a fame, but he's still down
Yeah.
to earth and super cool. So obviously, where were you born? Where were you raised?
Well, originally born in Hong Kong,
Okay.
and then I spent most of my life living in London,
Hmm.
England, and that's how I got the band started back then.
Right. What was that transition like from China to London? Was it jarring, or were you too young to even know?
Well, it was very different than back then in Hong Kong. It was when I left, it was still under British control. It was controlled by the United Kingdom. So, as a British colony, it was very different from China. The two hasn't got together yet. So the transition into Europe it wasn't too weird, to be honest. Because you think about the culture in Hong Kong was so diverse. You got so many people from around the world going there. So going into Europe was kind of normal thing. And my parents did take me there for vacation before. So and I enjoyed it then. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. And were your folks into music? Is that how you got into the music, or what brought you to love music?
I think the first thing I got into musically I enjoyed was like basically the Bon Jovi. That's kind of the Richie Sambora's guitar playing is what lit me up in terms of liking the electric guitar. Hearing those songs from the Slippery When Wet era days.
Yep.
I thought they were incredible. The guitar solos really kind of got me. But I didn't start playing the guitar until I was 16 because it was too stressful to play video games because my parents hated video games, just like from that generation of parents. They didn't understand it. So I was into video games. It's like, what, I'm sick of hiding my video games. I'm going to play the guitar because it seems like it's fun. Yeah, that's
Right.
it.
Right. Better to hide video games than porn.
I don't know. I don't know what's worse, actually, or what's better.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But I started relatively late because I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
I wasn't forced to do it. My family wasn't trying to push music or art onto us.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, were you one of these kids that sat in your bedroom for 12 hours a day playing, or did you just do it at your own pace? Did you take lessons?
Well, I didn't take any lessons because my parents didn't believe in wasting time trying to be a rock star, which is fair enough. It was for them, it's just like another hobby, right? Here's your birthday, here's your Squire Strat. That's all I'm buying you. That's it. Have fun. Good luck. And so I just pretty much learned from watching, borrowed VHS videos my friends had or books, because this is pre-internet days, right? I started playing in 1992 or 93. We're talking about. It's been a while. And I guess one of the most important thing about playing guitar is be able to teach yourself is more important than anything else, because there's a lifetime of knowledge out there that you can learn and improve or change, or what your current state of mind is in.
Right. Going back to the Bon Jovi era, what kind of drew you into the music? He's not really known as a shredder. He's a great guitar player, melodic, everything else, but what got you into the shred?
Well, I would say Richie Sambora is a shredder himself. He just have a lot of melodies in the different times. It was the right time, actually, and then he plays the fast notes. But what got me into playing the fast stuff, I guess, is as you listen to music, just like anything in life, you evolve, you listen to more stuff, right? From just normal hard rock, you start listening to heavier stuff, more complicated, complex stuff. So from hard rock, I grew into like going to the thrash metal stuff like Megadeth, Metallica, which has more solos, Testament, and then Dream Theater. Obviously, before then, I got into Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, all these guys, Eddie Van Halen. I mean, then you just think, wow, I want to be at least. I'll try to get better and see what happens. I probably won't be able to, but at least it looks fun to play. And I just kind of evolved the guitar and try to make it, beyond just musical notes, but like weird noises to make it musical too.
Yeah, because you got all those weird Pac-Man noises and video game noises and everything else. Was that just something you just sat down and was like, I need to come up with something a little bit more creative to make me stand out?
It's everything with us really at that time just happened. It's all like an accident. Spontaneously, we just like, we just thought of something. And I was back then, Steve Vai, Satriani, Eddie Van Halen, they made lots of guitar noises. So for me, it's like I view the instruments as beyond just playing the notes. They did a lot of whammy bar tricks. So I was like learning those things, and I just kind of came up with making those noises that I thought fitted the DragonForce songs, because the DragonForce songs in a way is pretty extreme and chaotic in a way, controlled chaos. So I try to add some kind of noise to it. I thought it's kind of cool. So from a string breaking to some like video game sounding noise.
Sure. So you started off late because, most guitar players I know started, 7, 8. I was talking to Phil X the other day, who's now in Bon Jovi, and he started at 5. His dad put a ukulele in his hand, right? So what was the most challenging part to get to where you were at the level you are when DragonForce was created?
I think one of the main challenges of starting late is believing in yourself. Because you look around, you're in school at that time, secondary school, right? You're like 16. I started then. You're like, and these are the kids been playing for like 8, 6, 4, 10 years. And you think, wow, did I start too late? Should I even do this now? And one thing I know now is it doesn't matter what age. In anything, you can start at any time. It doesn't really matter. It's about enjoying yourself. And if you enjoy it, your body will take it in and you can make it happen. So I think no one really showed me that, and no one told me about it, because back then there was no one to inspire me with these kind of speeches, right? You just think, well, it's too late, but I'll just do it anyway and see what happens and be determined to have fun. And that's kind of what happened. Now I know it doesn't really matter. And this is the same thing I'm facing right now, right? I'm trying to. So my daughter, I'm gonna teach her what I know. My skills, right? I'm gonna teach her to play the guitar. Am I gonna start her young, or am I gonna wait when her hands are more able to, than trying to waste few years of like forcing someone to do something that is much more difficult? Your finger's not grown into it. So I gotta think about it,
Yeah. When did I start? I noodled around the guitar, as you know, with iron steel. I was probably about 13, man. I was a huge Kiss fan. So when I saw Ace Frehley, that was it. And I'd look at the Kiss Alive album for hours, just staring at the album cover like, this is what I want to do. I failed miserably and picked up a camera, and that's where I ended up here, right? And just like you said, is there a right age to start or not? I didn't make my first film till I was 50 or 51 years old. Jumping out of the airplane without a parachute into the unknown, doing something new. I knew I could do it. And it's just getting these stories out of these artists, right? Get them to trust you or whatnot, and then get the pixie dust in there with a great editor and sound design and stuff. So I get it. Yeah. And the same thing when you were developing DragonForce, was that your idea, or was it a group of dudes that you met that created this?
I started off with Sam, basically, just to like, because we just Sam, the other guitar player, for people that don't know, is we're the opposite personality in every single way.
Yep.
So, and it's like, well, I mean, going back then, I thought, well, this guy's an idiot. I don't really want to start a band of him. He's a complete loser, and he's saying exactly the same thing about me. This guy's a nerd, he's a loser, he's an idiot. But there's also isn't anyone else that likes the same kind of music. So
right.
I guess let's do it. It's like, let's get on and let's make something. That's kind of what happened. And again, even at that point, I was like, is it too late to start a band now? Have we missed the boat? I'm always like second guessing and doubting myself again. And I still do now, because I love to be able to be that guy that is so confident that walks in the room and thinks he's the shit,
Right.
but I'm just not that guy, and I'm never gonna be. So I'm always thinking about it. Is this the right thing? And back then I did the same thing. I thought we're never gonna get it. We're never gonna make it as a career. So let's just have some fun. Don't care about it. Just make some albums, go on tour, have fun, do that for a few years, and we can retire back to just a normal civilian life.
Right. Right. Doesn't work that way. So obviously I know Sam pretty well as well. And he is kind of like a human Beavis and Butthead, right?
That is exactly what I said to my daughter.
Did you really?
I actually said that. I don't know. My sister was visiting and she said something about Beavis and Butthead. And my daughter said, I want to see it. I want to see it. I mean, she's 5. I want to see Beavis and Butthead. What is it? Is it funny? I said, it's not funny. You're not going to find it funny. What do? They do nothing. They just sit around watching music video and complain. And then I said, you want to see Beavis and Butthead? Just visit Uncle Sam. He's like the real version.
Right. So you had, these guys were from all over. You had South Africa, France with Fred back then. God, everywhere. Did you recruit these guys from other countries just because of their skills, or did they all already live in the London area?
They just all live in the London area, and those are the only people we found that would play with us.
Really?
This is how fun it is. No one wanted to play with us. Everyone thought we were a bunch of losers. Again, So the scene was not nice to us because everyone thought we were a joke. Oh, these guys play guitar solos. They have long hair, all of them. There's so many things against us all the time, believe it or not. People don't really believe it, but that we really had to fight to get there. But it never felt like we was fighting for survival because we just enjoyed what we were doing. So we're just trying to do the best we can in what we love to do. I think in my career anyway, my life in music, in life, and it just kind of all happened. We didn't care where they're from. We didn't care what they look like. It's just, you like the music, you want to do it. And that's kind of what happens. And, music business, obviously later on become a much more complicated issue, right? Yeah. How do you look? How old are you? How cool are you on stage? That kind of stuff. How many followers you got?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's also about social media now too. Like, what's your following like, and da 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 da.
I know it's like it's got polluted. The art got polluted by the commercialism of people worried about making money. And I'll tell you, we didn't care at all. It's like, I have a day job. I'll make more money going to work.
What was your day job back then?
I was a IT computer guy. So I was doing for those that understand, I was doing a networking engineer, computer servers. They call it the Unix system, Solaris, Linux administrator. So I look after computer systems to make sure they work, make sure people's website work. There you go.
Oh, interesting. Now, when Zippy quit the band, was there a panic? Like, oh my God, we got to find a new guy, And I know that, like, I'm friends with a guy in Skid Row, when Sebastian Bach quit, everybody just wants him back. What was that like when he stepped aside?
I think when it didn't work out with Zippy, it was how can I say it? It was actually an interesting question. Never really have to answer this question for a long time.
Yeah.
Obviously changing a singer is never good for a band at any point. But I think at that point, it was like it had to happen, whatever, or at least we were told we had to happen. I think if we can go back in time now, with my brain now, I think we can probably worked it out at that point. But at that point, whatever happens, it was going to happen because we were told this has to happen. Yeah. So, you learn a lot as you the more you're in the business or the more you're alive, in life, how things are could have been resolved. Probably,
Yeah. And I think the only guy that you have left when I toured with you is Sam. Is that right?
From that
era. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in essence, is DragonForce now you, Sam, and hired guns, or are these guys actual members of the band?
Well, Sam and I started the band, and we
Mhm.
always did, pretty much all the work for it.
Right.
So in a way, it hasn't really changed.
Mhm.
Um, it's just some people life change, and that's what happens. And
Right.
and every time we make a change in the band, it's because we're trying to make better. Like someone here isn't happy; they're not able to give it 100%. They have other things they need to do. Or they just want to change in their life. And that's kind of what happens, and it's normal. It's like a company, right? If you're buying a NVIDIA graphics card, an engineer decide they're going to do a different job. Are you going to say, well, what's going on? Oh my, this
Yeah.
GPU is not going to work, or this camera, someone making this camera, but in a band, because of what you see, who performs, sometimes you think, well, you might have some ideas.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I don't say a hired gun in a negative light, because these guys, they make good livings and are happy where they're at, and obviously your guys are happy because they're still there. Um, so yeah, so the industry has changed dramatically over the past 10, 15 years. How are you feeling it?
Uh, it has changed a lot. And so because the industry is changing, so the story is this: in 2018, we got rid of management, we got rid of everything.
Mhm.
Our old business system that was put in place by old manager, we just kind of got rid of it, because it's like, well, it needs to be changed here. This is not working out. I managed the band up until basically the third DragonForce album, our big hit album. At that time, the band exploded. So me managing the band wasn't even possible anymore.
Right.
Especially if someone going to come to me and say, well, I can manage a band, I work with these other bands. What am I to question to say I know better than this guy? So we did that for a number of years, and then I realized, well, this is not actually any better. So now I have the experience, I'm going to do it. You know what? I've been doing enough, and I'm sure I can do a better job. So that was like the big change here. So I can say we had the downtime, unfortunately, I believe in the mismanagement, because the music hasn't got worse. And
Right.
now we're, luckily we're more successful and popular than at that time we just talked about when we first met, and then the Guitar Hero explosion.
Right.
Now we actually doing better. And funny enough, that song, Through the Fire and Flame, just got released on probably one of the biggest video game in the world right now, Fortnite. So
Really?
just made Fortnite Festival. It came out last week, and it's been an absolute hit. It's been crazy. This is how many people play that game, Fortnite? It's insane.
Hundreds of millions, probably.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
So tell me,
yeah.
from the pay rate that you got for Guitar Hero to Fortnite, is it still a favored nations deal where everybody got paid the same, or now it was a little bit more lucrative for you?
Tell me, it's not even close. It's not even close.
Really?
I was very happy
Oh,
about
good.
it. So that's, and the fact, and you gotta give it to the people that made that happen, and to understand, they're not
Mhm.
just saying here's some peanuts here.
Right, right.
We're respected people,
That's awesome, man. Congratulations. And also
Yeah.
you getting stuff placement in movies and stuff. You know what was funny too is, like, for those of you who don't know, I directed a movie called Who You Gonna Call in the Life of Ray Parker Jr., who wrote Ghostbusters. But he would tell me, he goes, man, he goes, yeah, the song's huge in America and everything else, but man, I get placements and Volkswagen commercials and coffee commercials in Germany and everywhere else. And it goes, just a never ending stream of money. Is that how you look at your one song? Like, are there placements that maybe we don't even know about?
There's definitely a lot of income coming from that song that we
Right.
created. And that we just told you about Fortnite. Last year, it was in the previous NFL playoff commercial.
Oh, wow.
During the two primetime, that playoff, they was on both the playoff commercials. with the Despicable Me 4 movie, and he's on the movie too.
Right.
You know, and we also had other songs that was on American Idol, that was used there. So it's been it's been great, and all these other video games happening. I actually made those calls myself. You know, I pick up the phone and I make that happen. It doesn't just come to you. It's like I'm not going to be a sit back musician waiting for the world to come to me. I just go and ask this video games company, hey, how about we get DragonForce in there? We'll make you something cool.
So since you're doing that, does Herman Li take an extra 15% cut as the manager?
Well, you know, it's a good question. And I go and do these meetings myself. I don't send in out, you know, assistants or anything like that, because I know what I'm talking about. I love the video games, scene, because I've been part of that for a long time. So if you see us on a game, it's most likely I made that call and say, hey, I think this is gonna work if they want to do it. So we have exclusive song written for Meta for the VR headset. We just did this for Brawl Stars, which is a game by a company called Supercell, who's owned by Tencent. That was a really big one too. I think we got like 22 million views on that one. But when it first came out, it was trending at number 2 on YouTube, only beaten by Moana 2 Disney trailer. Wow. So we almost got there. If Moana wasn't there, we would have made number 1 on YouTube, you know?
That's wild, man. And you're really proactive on social media as well. I'm hoping that you're getting a revenue stream from that. How does that work into things? How do you find the time to even do it?
I guess I try to do stuff that I enjoy in my way. And like I mentioned before, that I'm a computer guy, you know, also play the guitar. I like both things. It was a natural thing for me to get all these things worked out and set up and make it work. I don't know. It's just kind of evolved into it, to be honest. I'm not that kind of loud guy and outgoing guy. It's just like I thought I'll try something different, because I just didn't want to. I wasn't really into the Instagram generation of stuff, just taking pictures of, you know, selfies and stuff like that. I thought it's kind of boring. So I decided to go Twitch, live streaming, and then moved on into YouTube and then TikTok. And while that's happening, it's like, well, I got to do Instagram too. It's just part of the whole ecosystem
thing.
Ecosystem. Yeah. And
what was it like stepping in front of the camera? I mean, I know you're not shy playing on stage and stuff, but having to sit, even me, I get fucked up when I'm just sitting here talking, you know, looking at myself on a camera. But was it a little awkward? Did you have to find your way?
I would say it was terrifying when I first started it. It was terrible. I mean, I was so worried about it. I was so worried about playing the guitar from the camera. Now I just don't care. I don't even care about being perfect, because I am imperfect, and that's what you get. And I can't relate to a perfect person anymore. You know, it's like the people out there can only relate to an imperfect person. It doesn't exist, the imperfect person. I know the internet would love someone to be perfect. Otherwise, if you're not, then they rip you apart, right? But I just start off saying I'm this guy. That's it, you know. And I've just built a confidence later. Talking to people, it's a skill that I have to learn later. Because as a guitar player, look, to be honest, to play this kind of music, I'm kind of a nerd. I got to train and practice to play the guitar this way. And that means not going out and hanging out with people a lot in order to get to that level. Now I have to learn this skill later on in life through practice and trial and error. And even, you know, when you go on tour, you talk to a lot of people, but that's a different game, because everyone's a yes man to you when you're on tour. You know, no one say no. All my crew gonna say yes. You know, mostly to me, it's hard to find someone that says no until you get married. So no. So but yeah, you know, you know, I love that my wife tell me if I'm making a mistake that you're an idiot. Think about this, you know. But so I learned to different skills as you do things in life, from just like getting married, having kids, you know.
It's funny because I remember when I was touring, just like you said, everybody's a yes man or whatnot. But I mean, you wake up, you have what's called your day sheet on the bus is telling you how your day is going to go. You know, you have a laundry bag. You can just drop it off the production office. They do your laundry for you. You get cooked for. You have catering and everything else. So you're used to that for 6 to 10 weeks, and then you come home, and there's the wife and the kids and the dogs, and you need to take out the trash, right? How long does it take you to adjust coming off the road to home life?
My wife tells me the first week when you're back, you're not with reality. She tells me that is you're not with reality. You just been on tour. You act differently. You need to kind of resettle. You should resettle in again. So it just takes a week. I don't know. I don't notice it, but she goes, "Yeah, there's no. We're not doing what you told. We're not
Right.
doing what you say. Yeah, you do what I'm told you to." You know. Mhm.
That's awesome. And one thing I love about you and your family is you take in dogs that are fucked up, missing eyes, teeth, jaws. I remember Pickles and Sinbad. I love those dogs so much. They're both gone now. And then Fang, who stayed with you a couple times when I was out of town. You babysat for him. I think he ate a diaper one time, and like,
Yeah, I think he tried. Yeah.
yeah, you had to rush him to the emergency room and pump his stomach. So I appreciate all that. And then you gave us a place to live when the fires hit Calabasas, you know, and me and the dog both, so I really
That's right.
appreciate your friendship. Yeah. And I have the best picture of Fang, Pickles, and Sinbad on the edge of the stairs, just standing there. And it's crazy when you look at it, because it's like, what was it? Sinbad had no eyes. Pickles had one eye. Thankfully, Fang had both of his, so it was like, what, 5 eyes and 8 legs or something. Or 12 legs, but it was the cutest thing ever, man. Yeah, and now
Yeah, yeah.
I know you have 2 new dogs,
Yeah, I
Elton.
miss those dogs you just mentioned there for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, they were sweet, man. I loved how unpredictable Pickles was. Be friendly one moment and then bite the shit out of you with no
He's
teeth.
messing with you. He's messing with you, baiting you to bite you. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, right now I got a three-legged Pekingese with one
yeah.
eye,
Uh-huh.
and we just recently got a pug that was abandoned.
Mm,
So because that dog had to have eye surgery, so she has one eye.
right.
And I also been made godfather of our other neighbors' dogs. So I mean, I
Oh.
don't know. We might end up having 4 dogs eventually.
Oh my
I hope
gosh.
not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
what brought you and the wife to want to bring in these wayward dogs that are, you know, disabled? Because I'm sure that's a challenge and a lot of work and money and everything else.
Uh, you know, we're not perfect, so why should your pets be?
Right.
And a lot of these dogs, they don't get adopted usually, right? So we usually take the one that no one takes and give them a nice home.
Yeah.
The puppy with perfect, 4 legs, 2 eyes, cute. There's thousands of people that would do it, but these ones they usually left,
Right.
in the for a long time. So
Right.
yeah, so that's what we do. Yeah,
Hmm.
give them a nice home.
That's awesome. I love that about you guys. Um, Going back to touring, you told me before we went on air that you guys are going to China.
Hmm.
Tell me
Yeah.
about that strategic move.
Well, after I did a lot of visit to China, solo as a solo guitar player, and also with DragonForce previously. We've done a few tours, did festivals there before. And after the pandemic, I thought, man, it's more and more difficult to
Hmm.
do these tours. So, but we had an offer to go there. It was a great offer. So I thought, you know what? Why not? Go back there again, especially as a musician, right? Um, you don't know. We talk about music business. Of course, I love to go playing, but some places are more difficult to make happen. If it hasn't got the right offer, you just won't go because
Hmm.
you have to run the business to say you got to go make money. You can't just go on tour and just get drunk and come back. That's when we were young. We do
Right.
that. Yeah. So now with the way the world changed a lot, so many things happening, it's important to open up another market back up for touring. In case you can't tour in Europe, you can't tour in in the US. There's a recession here, recession there. Or things can happen. So it's like, well, I guess we go to China again. I mean, I enjoy going back to China.
Right.
With a great time. Before, I love my food, so it will be good to try different regional Chinese food as
Right.
well. So yeah, it will be fun.
So since you're kind of now like the official manager of DragonForce, looking back at all those years you did have a manager, it's kind of like almost Doge, right? You're digging in, looking at all the numbers and da 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 da. Did you look at that and say, my God, we've just been getting fucked all these years? There's this money missing and this amount. What did you uncover doing this?
I'll be honest with you, I didn't look at it. I
Mm,
didn't look at it when I started, because it's no point looking backwards.
right.
You got to look forward to what you're going to do right now than
Mm,
trying to dwell in the past. Of course, you want to learn from your mistakes too.
right.
So my wife did look at it, and she did tell me something about it, because she's a forensic, she
Yeah.
does a forensic accounting kind of like stuff that
Yeah.
she does in her job. So it's like, okay, well, we had fun, and to be honest, I wouldn't change anything,
Right.
because
Well, it's just life lesson. Yeah. Life
and we
lessons.
got to experience life in a different way, right? We were touring as like the musicians that didn't care about business. We just
Mhm.
played. I don't care how many album we sell, how many people coming, what is going on. We gotta do our own thing, and that is what we did. So it's impossible for us to even. If I did manage the band at that time, we wouldn't have all that fun we had. Like me and you, we would
Yeah.
that tour. We had so much fun, party every single night, no stopping. Right?
Nothing could stop
Yeah,
us. It was it was the wildest. I've done 100 tours. That tour, hands down, was my favorite tour of all time ever. Like, it
yeah.
was just
It's just
laughing our asses off, just having the best time ever.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what it was important to experience. That I don't want to come out on the other side. They say he was a rock star, but what did you do? I don't know. I just sat on the bus on my computer every single day for the last 20 years.
Right.
That's not fun either. So
So is that what it's like now for you? You like your business first when you get to the venue, setting everything up?
well, of course, even though we have a full crew, I still go there and check, because this is my show.
Mm,
I'm gonna check to make sure everything is correctly set. Is this fixing? Oh, you got this screws got loose. I'm like that guy, right? I want to make sure. And I do it myself. I don't say, oh, can you do that when someone is busy? And then every night after the show, I watch the video back and I adjust the lights that was programmed on the computer that runs by
mm.
itself. Like that, for an example. And we watch the show, say, oh, we could have played that better. What should we do next day? Because we see the band is a different thing now. I want to make the best performance, the best everything, production, lights, everything that I can possibly do in the time I have. Yeah.
Right. I remember you guys played the Twitch convention. You had a damn dragon on stage. Like, what can the fans expect on this upcoming tour? You got any new production, any fun stuff coming up?
Well, we always have new stuff, right? We used to have one dragons, and last tour we had two.
Yep.
You know, so we're always working on improving the show. So it just continues. I don't even know, because I'm like working on it. This is Studio A. I have Studio B in the house, where I have like the whole show set up for China. All the stuff worked out. So what I'm gonna do for that show?
That's
Yeah.
wild. Going back to your early life, what was your first concert that you went to go see?
The first real concert I went to see was Steve Vai
Oh, wow.
with Devin Townsend on that Section Religion tour.
Wow. Was your mind blown? Like, oh my God, I'm going to put my guitar down, or was it just, did it inspire you to want to get better?
It was definitely inspiring, and I'm so happy I went, because no one wanted to go. none of my friends were into it. So,
Mm.
and I see these people messaging me again, when I do my live stream, say, "Oh, I want to go to the show," but none of my friends want to go see DragonForce. Forget about your friends. This is your life. You gotta take a grip and do what you want to do. See something you want to see. So
Right.
yeah, it definitely inspired me to see like guitar, the highest level here we're
Oh
talking
yeah.
about. I just only been playing guitar for 1 year then, probably, or less, to go, wow, this is how you can go and do it. So I'll try to do 1% of that if possible.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, do you remember your first gig as DragonForce, and what was that like?
I remember I have those on videos. The early days shows. I still have them on like a VHS or what do you call them?
DV tapes or whatnot?
Oh, not even DV tape. We talk about those little VHS tape. Those rubbish little
Oh
VHS
yeah,
tape,
yeah,
the
yeah.
tiny
Yep.
one that goes in the camcorder.
Yep.
Yeah, we got that. High 8.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
got
yeah. Yep.
yeah. I remember there was we were opening on the free band bill, and the only people that came to see us, that weren't our friend was one person. So only one person came that weren't our friends. The rest are just friends, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's wild. I remember my last tour I did was with Five Finger Death Punch, and you and Zoltan were always pretty close. And Zoltan credited you guys for kind of give them their first tour ever. And he's like, I will always admire Herman and DragonForce because they allowed us to open up for them early on and really gave us our foot in the door.
Yeah, that was he tells me that that was a life changing for them. Funny enough, when they found the agent, they did the show, really opened up doors for them. And at that time, we had like a sold out tour,
Mm-hmm.
but we had a connection. So when they asked, it's like, okay, yeah, sure, you guys can open up. We made a slot just for them,
Really?
a
Oh,
fourth
wow.
band on that show, because at that time, Darrow's, who was playing guitar back then, used to play for Wasp, and he helped us out back then when we were opening, when we were special guests of Wasp on our second album.
Oh my
we were like
gosh.
rookies. So, we all gotta look after each other, man. This because we can all help each other get through it.
No, for sure. And what was Blackie Lawless like?
Here's a story of Blackie. When we were touring, we're all scared. It's like, shit, it's Blackie Lawless. No, everyone's afraid to talk to him because you only seen him on TV, on his music video. You thought, this guy's crazy, man. So no one dared to speak to him for ages. And then he was super cool.
Right.
He was super nice. He gave us our first real European tour. He had us. He accepted DragonForce to be, the special guest, and it definitely made a difference to us because the tour after that we did Iron Maiden.
Oh my
In
gosh.
Europe
I did
for
not
the
know
early
that.
days tour.
Wow.
Yeah, so many times, people can get the wrong impression of people just because of the stage performance and the stage persona. And one of the reasons why I did live streaming is I wanted to show who I really am.
Right.
Because there was a kind of wrong idea I thought people had on me, was that I'm full of it and I'm like super arrogant and up my own because the way I play on stage, the way
you're just confident up there. Yeah.
You got to show confidence when you play on stage. I'm
Yep.
showboating. Yes, I'm trying to give a show to you guys to have fun too, than just staring at my feet and playing the guitar. So, and then people realize, oh, actually, he's not such a dick.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, anytime we've hung out, you've always been nice to the fans, taking picture. I've never seen you say no to anybody, Does it ever
Yeah.
get annoying when you get kind of swarmed after a show or anything, like you're tired and you just want to have a beer?
Of course it does. I mean, once I remember a few tours ago, I'd come out the bus and someone asked me, can I have autograph? And I said, look, I really can't right now. I got to go in the toilet. You don't want to go with me, but
Right.
I'll be here when I come back on the bus, and you can take an autograph, or otherwise you can do it, later on, you can catch me after the show or something, around. He goes, "Oh, I'm not coming to the show anyway, so I gotta go." So,
Damn.
it's okay. So
Okay.
you just
Yeah.
okay, you're okay after all.
Yeah. So when I toured with Slayer, the very first time I was on a festival tour, I wanted to go take a picture of Kerry King. And this is when he was still wearing those 12-inch nails on his arm, from his elbow to his wrist. I was terrified of the guy. Like I didn't know how to approach him because he's so unapproachable. But I just kind of inched my way over closer and closer, and he's getting ready to go on stage. And I just pulled my camera up, and he did a pose for me, and I was like, oh, wow, he's acknowledging me. Maybe he's not such an asshole after all, or so terrifying. And then we became cool or whatnot. And then I went to go visit Zach in October, and I had dinner with Carrie and his wife and Zach, my son, who you know. And I'd gone to New York. We are going to go watch a show together. This 3-piece Japanese band called Boris. Have you heard of them?
No,
No.
I don't
Okay.
think so.
They're sludge metal, just full on, just ringing the lowest tuning that you could get, just brutal. And Zach is kind of funny, man. But we're sitting there, and Carrie's like, "What show are you gonna go see?" And Zach's like, "Boris, man, they got the heaviest fucking guitar tones ever." And Kerry King just did one of these, like, "Do you know who you're speaking to? I wrote Angel of Death and Raining Blood. You don't think my guitar tone's heavy?" It was pretty fucking funny, man. He was just taking
That's
a
funny.
piss on Zach. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. Um, hmm. So how did you balance work life, guitar playing, and everything else to get as good as you are? Like, was there a point where you're like, I got to give everything up, focus on the guitar, and just eat ramen noodles for the next year?
Well, funny enough, my mom still thinks all I do is eat instant noodles and be unhealthy.
Right,
I told her I don't, but now I should do. Now I only had it when I had kids. Now I do because I have no time to cook for myself.
right.
Probably, yeah. I turn into short order cook.
Yeah.
Um, but to be honest, I mean, I just enjoy doing what I did. So it wasn't even like practicing. It was just more like, oh, I enjoy playing the guitar. I'm gonna play the guitar.
Mhm.
Go to work, I do my computer job. I go and go do rehearsal, do DragonForce, make our
Mm.
demo. That was it. There's a really kind of no secret to it. I feel lucky. Obviously, I live in the UK. At that time, when you're in a small band, you don't have to drive that far. The country is small. To
Yeah.
drive to the next city to do your little gigs, it's like, oh, it's 2 hours drive. Here it's like 2 hours, nothing. 2 hours, you're going, oh my God, we got to drive 2 hours up to Birmingham from London. You know?
Right.
So I
Right.
never suffered a horrible, you know, RV or van tour. I just drove my wagon car, shoved all the gear in, and there's another car, and then off we go.
That
Um,
is so cool. Was there
yeah.
ever a defining moment where you're like, okay, we have something special here. We got to get this demo done, go shop this thing. How did all that happen? And how did you get the record deal?
Wow. To get the deal, I basically when I how it started off actually, I used to go to France to see
Mhm.
shows because back then we talk about the early 2000s. All the bands didn't waste time for them to go to England to do tours. Like a lot of metal bands, they thought, well, we don't want, it's not worth the money. And the UK metal scene wasn't so diverse anymore at that point. In Europe, it's much more diverse. You can listen to more different kind of metal, and they have gigs and tours there, and they just don't come to UK. So I went to France, and then there I met people that work from record label after the show. One guy called Olivier Garnier, who had a French label, and I told him, "Oh, I have a band from the UK, and we play kind of melodic power metal." And he go, "Wow, from the UK? That's crazy because nothing come out of UK like that anymore." And he passed it on to another label, which was Sanctuary Records at that time, which is
Mhm.
owned who also managed Iron Maiden under the management, Sanctuary Management. And also, I went to like Wacken Festival and I would meet up with record labels that I've written to by email and send my demos in. That's how it came about. And I got to shop and try to get a good deal, as the first band, see who's ready to take a chance with us. But even after the record label is done, nothing, basically don't expect anything from the record label at any point. Don't expect anyone to do anything for you. I'm unfortunately to say that. You got to do it yourself. You want to do something. Because the label told me at that time, after we signed, so we're on our second album, we finished our second album. I said, look, I think we got something here that maybe can make it to America. I think the US market might actually like this, even though the last time as they call this, power metal band made it in the US was Halloween back in '88. Nothing like us similar have ever made it back, it blew up there. So they said, nah, you don't know what you're talking about. You're not going to make it. You should just concentrate in Europe. Luckily, someone from Roadrunner Records, we talk about 2005 there, while we're making the Inhuman Rampage album, the hit album, wrote an email to me via the website, saying, what are you doing? What are you guys doing? I said, look, I want to get a release out in America. If you guys are up for it, let's try to talk about it. And so Roadrunner believed in us that we can actually do it in the US. So they licensed the album, released it 6 months after the rest of the world got it out. And that's when the whole thing just blew up, right? We did Ozfest. We had the sold out tour before we even left the country for our first US tour. We did the Ozfest. Then we did the one we met, the one of Killswitch Engage, No Fear tour. And then we did the Mayhem Festival.
I remember
where
that.
We would main support. We played just before Slipknot and Disturbed. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. What is it like to see all those bands that you just mentioned, Slipknot, Disturbed, the Machine Heads and all these guys? I mean, they're still here, right? Especially when people say rock is dead. And I always want to ask this to somebody. I haven't asked anybody this yet, but if nobody's ever been to a show overseas, it is so different than here in America. To me, anyway, when I go to like France or Prague or Australia, the fans are bananas. I'm not saying that there's not a few here, but compared to there, they live and breathe metal.
Yeah, I think they just have more time in Europe, to enjoy the things, right?
Right.
In the US, people work so hard, there's the mentality of working is just in the culture of the US. And in Europe, there's just much more time. It's like in France, you're not allowed to call people after work. You can't send them an email. They got to be off work completely. So the culture down there is much more relaxed. But for me, I picked to be in America, in Los Angeles, because I also put myself in the toughest environment here to see how do I measure up here. Because this is the place. This is the place where all the minds, the most talented, come and meet. So you're gonna test yourself, see you can make it or not. And luckily, it's worked out for me. I'm loving it here. But definitely in Europe, you're much more relaxed. Your mind, you don't think about work so much.
Right. It's a funny thing about California. A lot of people talk shit about California, right? But you've got to have the grit, determination, the guts to come here and compete, because the best in the world, best musicians, best studio players, best filmmakers, writers, editors live in the Los Angeles area. And for you to dip your toe into there from another country and come here and just dominate must feel pretty good.
I hate to look at music like a competition, but it has strengthened me being in the US and made me a better musician, made the band more successful, the way I see it. I learned so many things here that I wouldn't have done in Europe, because people are much more relaxed and cool, and this competition is much less. And here I learn a lot. So I think if you're a musician, you're an artist, you gotta give it a try just to see if it's something you like and see if it works out for you. It's not about competing, but it's about you're gonna get the best out of yourself
Right.
out there. You're gonna work. You're gonna make that happen for yourself.
Right.
And
I agree
that's
with the competition thing, but it's just like everybody that lands there are at the top of the Steve Vai, L.A., Nuno Butenkart, L.A., L.A. Like you've got to be great, man. Even if it's not about competition, but it's like if you want to get noticed, you better be great. And speaking of getting noticed, I saw videos of you playing a guitar solo on a ship underwater in a pool, and then I read somewhere you jumped out of an airplane or paraglided. Is that right?
I haven't done that one yet. I think
Oh,
we're
okay.
planning on that one.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, what can we expect next? The next stunt while you're playing stunt guitar?
Well, I can't tell you. I do have a few things, in the working to make it more exciting. Obviously, playing my craziest trick so far was probably playing under the water, snorkeling.
Yep.
When we talk about with a live band at on the cruise ship festival shows, where I was like snorkeling and playing the guitar like this. The guitar is above the water, but except my
Underwater.
hands were under the water, right? And then the other one I did a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, was going down a water slide while playing the guitar solo through the Fire and Flames. That one was okay. That wasn't as hard as that one, to be honest. But I'm trying to make something exciting and fun, right? If you ever see DragonForce on the cruise ship, like one of these festival cruise ship show, we try to bring something on. So but we always do something fun at our show too. So there's always like special guests playing with us. We had like Andy Timmons, Tosin Abassi, guys from Polyphia, always trying to make it more exciting and also push the limit of the live show. So it's unexpected and you won't get that in the next date. This is just for this show. Yeah.
Right. So you're kind of like the Tom Cruise of stunts with the guitars. Like you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, neither do I. I mean, I plan it. Obviously, I planned it. I make sure the gear doesn't break. I don't want to break, $10,000 of gear, doing a stunt and didn't work.
Right. Let's jump into some this or that questions. Just fun, topics here. So, Metallica or Megadeth?
I even though I hate to say it, but I gotta give it to Megadeth. I have to give it to Megadeth because as much I love both bands, Megadeth, because they had all these incredible guitar players that had gone through in the band. Metallica obviously have Kurt Hammett, which I do love, by the way, inspired me so much, but it's just been him.
Right.
I got to hear Marty Friedman, Chris Poland, Kiko Luero. I mean, all these guys, Chris Broderick play. I mean, he brought so many dimensions in the Megadeth lineup, Dave Mustaine, that I got to enjoy so many different eras of it. Yeah.
Right. Who's your favorite guitar player in Megadeth? Out of all the lineups?
I would say Marty Friedman, simply because that was the time I was learning to play the guitar. It made the most impression on me,
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't he have the most unique pick hand? The way he picks I don't even know how he does it.
Yeah. I mean, definitely very unique. But him and Kiko Luero, those two, I mean, Dave Mustaine knows how to find a good guitar player. He just knows. Yeah.
And I'll give James credit too for being able to sing and play as well as he does, especially rhythm guitar. I mean, to me, he's like the lord of rhythm guitar. But Dave Mustaine plays some really intricate shit and sings at the same time without messing up, man. As a guitarist, could you ever do that?
No, but I'll give a bonus point also to Megadeth, to Dave Mustaine, because he helped me at Hellfest in France fold up my stroller.
Really?
Yes, I was in the backstage. So my daughter came. She came to Hellfest. Because we did the family vacation and metal festivals, dad at work combination trip. What a nightmare! I had to drive for like 7 hours from south of France up to Hellfest.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I was like, we were like leaving. I was trying to fold this thing. I couldn't work out to fold the stroller. And Dave Mustaine was there, let me help you. And he just did it in one go. I was going, wow.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
So
Your child's
extra
been,
point.
yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say your child's been blessed. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's speaking of kids, so my son's first tour was a DragonForce tour. I don't know if you remember that. He came out for like a week.
I remember.
He was 15, and that was the first time he saw tits.
Bad influence.
Yeah, no shit. Iron Maiden or Judas Priest?
Well, we've toured both bands before, funny enough. I'll gotta give the edge to Iron Maiden.
Really? Okay.
I have to give the edge to Iron Maiden in a certain way. I'd probably, I don't know. Actually, you're right.
Yeah. You got Rob Halford, Glenn Tipton. I mean, not taking it away from Bruce Dickinson, but I mean, the metal god, right?
I mean, I'll give it to Iron Maiden because they added 3 guitar players, right? They added Adrian back without changing, without getting rid of Yannick Gears,
Yeah. But what does this guy do? Yeah, but that other guy just runs around the stage. I don't get it. I don't understand.
You don't get it? I love Yannick. He's one of the best showmen.
He runs around like a maniac, but I don't understand what. I don't know.
Same thing to say about us, I guess I've fallen off stage before, so I get
it. Exactly. Vinyl or digital?
Well, as much as I love the warmth of the vinyl, I gotta say I'm too lazy to put my vinyls on these days.
It's funny, man. I started collecting vinyl during COVID, right? I mean, I probably bought 300 albums. I might have listened to 3 of them because it is a pain in the ass to open it, pull it out, put it on the thing. And then after 5 songs, you got to get up and flip the thing. Yeah.
I remember taping my vinyl back then onto a tape so I can listen to it on the way to school on my Walkman.
Really?
So, yeah. Now to go back to vinyl, as much as I like it, it's not in my lifestyle right now.
Okay. Thrash metal or power metal?
Well, you got to be power metal, right? Coming from me.
Yeah.
But even though we're not that, we call ourselves extreme power metal because we're heavily influenced by thrash metal.
Right.
We talked about, from Slayer, Megadeth, Metallica, Testament, Exodus, these kind of bands that we used to listen to. I mean, I used to listen to Testament. Oh my God, Alex Skolnick, this guy's a god. It's impossible. How do I even play that like that? And even now, I look at him, I go, "How do you play like that, Alex?" I ask him, "How do you play like that?"
It was funny, man. One of my favorite bands of all time is called Sabotage. I don't know if you've ever heard of them or not.
Oh, I love Sabotage, of course.
Yeah, so Chris will leave it to me. He's one of the greatest guitar players that ever picked up the instrument, right? And when he passed away, I was very good friends with Chris, and they brought in Alex Skolnick for an album or 2. He did Handful of Rain. I remember doing that. Was 94, by the way.
I love that album, Handful of Rain.
Yeah, it's so good, man. He's such a tasty guitar player and just the nicest guy in the world, But I was doing a photo shoot with him, and he goes, "Hey, man, I've got my other band here too, the Alex Skolnick Trio. It was a jazz trio. Could you take some pictures of us?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, of course, man. It's Alex Skolnick. What am I going to say? No." So I had the opportunity of shooting both of those bands that day, which was pretty neat, and got to tour a little bit with them. And I was there for the start of Trans-Siberian Orchestra. I just happened to be on an assignment with Metal Edge magazine at the time. It was really cool.
Can I tell you something funny before you get on that one?
Sure.
So, this is like a couple years ago, maybe last year actually. We were playing at a festival with same day as Testament. And after the show, I went to have a shower. While I was having a shower with the window open, I hear Testament playing. They're playing Over the Wall, and I'm having a shower. I thought, this is so fucking great. I'm here having a shower, listening to Testament live outside my window coming in, shredding it up on the guitar.
Oh my God. That
Yeah.
is so awesome. Yeah, I took Zach to see, it was Testament, Anthrax, and somebody else at the Tabernacle in Atlanta. It was the loudest concert that we'd ever been to. Our ears rang for 2 days. It was
Mhm.
crazy. Are you more into concept albums or just standalone 10-song albums?
You know what? Unless it's Dream Theater, I probably don't care. Unless it's prog, I don't really care about concept albums that much.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Oh, here's one. Headlining big festivals, or do you like more intimate clubs where you're closer to the fans?
You know, the DragonForce show have gone and evolved into such a huge production show.
Mhm.
Doing the headlining the festival is definitely um, more enjoyable for me to be able to see everything come to life. The dragons, the explosions, the all the effects, and give us the room to run around and get on those giant video game arcade machine and do our solos and
Right.
all that. And it's got more and more stuff all the time. So we actually headlining a few festivals this summer, I believe a few. So
Mm,
and the other ones we got like main stage. So it's gonna be fun. We're gonna bring a lot of stuff again. Yeah.
okay. Are you more into guitar riffs or melodic arrangements?
I guess a melodic arrangement is what we we're most known as with Dragon Force now.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just get that
So
hook stuck in you, right?
yeah.
Um, okay. Bands from the 80s or bands from the 2000s?
For sure the 80s.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, who did you like? Give me 5 bands that really defined your taste in music from the 80s.
Well, the 80s have had these incredible guitar players,
Hmm.
you know? It's not that there aren't any in the 2000s, but in the same way they inspired me to play like George Lynch, you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
George Lynch, Dokken, his own stuff. Bon Jovi I talked about Europe that inspired me to play the guitar, the
Oof.
Final Countdown, stuff that talk about the thrash stuff from the 80s.
Yeah.
Um, I wasn't into the look, I was really into the music. Didn't care about the image for any of them. So, and in the 80s, you do not have all the computer stuff to make you sound better. You actually have to play again.
Yep.
And you don't have that much time to play again because studio costs a lot of money. Then
Yeah.
so I love how it's just captured the moment, in those albums. They're not perfect, they're far
Hmm.
from perfect, but they capture the energy in the moment of the youth and the energy of those albums. Sometimes now production can be too perfect, and 2000s, I think people were going in that direction of having the perfect production. Dragon
Yeah.
Force, same thing. On our 2008 album, we tried to be so perfect. I look at the computer screen to how I play the guitar, and then I'll play it again, looking at the waveform instead of listening to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of like when I first heard Fear Factory. It was so precise, like a machine gun. Da, 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 da. And you almost lost that push and pull of the music, right?
But without it, it wouldn't be Fear Factory. So
Well, yeah,
they created
exactly.
the production is created that. Oh, that's what it is. You have
Right,
to have the production. It's part of the sound of the band. Yeah.
right, right.
So with Dragon Force, we produce ourselves.
Hmm.
So we actually deliver as much of ourselves as much as possible.
Right.
Mhm.
Do you guys bring in engineers for guitar tones or drum sounds, or is it just pretty much self everything?
Oh, we have an engineer to
Yeah,
help us do things, but we make the decision of at the end how the song sound.
right. And for you, because yours and Sam's solos are so intricate and fast and just all over the place, do you write your solos first, then go in, or is it a thing where you're playing and you just hang on one second, let me just punch this in? Are you a punch it in guy, or are you a first take, like we got to get this right?
Sam writes it up in advance. I just improvise it until we get it right.
Okay.
So I just press the button and let it go. And it gets better as you play more. During the recording.
But thanks for coming on, man, and we'll catch up soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me, friend, and look forward to hanging out again soon sometime.
So I'll be there next month for a little bit. So hopefully before you leave or when you get home. So
Yeah, cool.
yep. All right, bud.